be discussing about the leaf. Leaf has the starting point as the leaf base, which is the lowermost part of the leaf which provides its base. Through the leaf base, a leaf is attached to the node. Petiole is the stalk of the leaf. Leaf lamina is a flat, thin, broad, expanded part of the leaf with veins as well as veinlets. See, the middle prominent vein, thickened vein is the midrib, which is further divided into many veins. Veins are further divided into veinlets. So here the labeling is reversed, so pay attention to it. And apart from this, the margin of the leaf is called leaf margin and the tip of the leaf is called leaf apex. Coming to the arrangement and distribution of the veins and veinlets, we call it as venation. The arrangement of veins and veinlets in a leaf is called venation, and there are two main types of venation. They are the reticulate venation and the parallel venation. So reticulate venation, midrib will be divided into veins and veins have veinlets which all together form a network-like structure. Reticulate venation can be seen in people and other plants. Parallel venation, veins are parallel to each other and veinlets are absent. You see parallel venation in banana, wheat and grasses. And on the basis of cuts in the leaf margin, leaves are divided into simple and compound leaves. In a simple leaf, the leaf blade is simple and even in the lamina, margin may have cuts but they are not deep enough to cut the leaf into leaflets. So simple leaf can be seen in cotton, prickly poppy and normal leaves like the hibiscus and so on. Coming to the compound leaf, in case of compound leaf, the cuts in the leaf are so deep that they divide the entire leaf into minute leaflets. Understood? So in case of a compound leaf, the lamina will be divided into leaflets as in case of neem, rose, acacia, gulmohar, right? So gulmohar is the red flowered leaf plant. The arrangement of leaves on the stem is known as phyllotaxy. So generally this is arranged in a design so that every leaf gets maximum amount of sunlight. Now coming to the phyllotaxy, there are three important types. First one is the alternate arrangement or the spiral arrangement. Next is the opposite and next is the whorled. In alternate arrangement, only one leaf arises from a node as seen in hibiscus and mango. And if you see that, it will be arranged in a spiral manner. Example, hibiscus, sunflower, mango. Then coming to the opposite leaves, a pair of leaves arise at each node and they grow in opposite direction. In Calotropis and basil, the successive pairs are perpendicular, whereas in guava they are parallel. Now coming to the next type of arrangement, it is whorled arrangement where three or more leaves arise at each node and they are arranged in a whorl or circle. Here you can see Nerium oleander and this is Indian devil tree Alstonia scularis. Coming to the modifications, first we will talk about the insectivorous plants. Here we can see a pitcher plant. Generally, because of the nutrition deficiencies like deficiency of nitrogen, plants depend on insects. This is a sundew plant trapping a housefly for its nutrients. So the housefly is stuck to the sticky gum-like structures, assuming it as a nectar. Coming to the pitcher plant and bladderwort plants, and in the Venus flytraps, we see how they trap insects. First, we will discuss about the pitcher plant. In pitcher plant, the leaf is modified as a bag-like structure which is called pitcher. This is the inner side of the pitcher where the sugary secretions are seen. Generally, the lid is an extension of the leaf apex. The pitcher plant is hanged in the air because of the petiole. And once the digestive juices are active inside, any fly or any insect that falls in it gets digested. In bladderwort, the leaves are segmented. And in the segments, you can see bag-like structures which are known as the bladderworts. The door is a trapdoor-like entrance and can suck any insects flowing towards it. It is generally seen in an aquatic plant called Utricularia. Coming to the Venus flytrap, in Venus flytrap, a leaf is divided into two different parts and the margin has long pointed hairs. The two parts of the leaf are joined by the midrib which acts as a hinge. Generally, whenever any insect comes and touches the surface of the leaf in search of food, the leaf gets closed and the pointed hairs get interlocked. Hence, the insect can't escape, and therefore it will be digested by the digestive juices inside it. Now coming to the other modifications of the leaf, say for example like the bryophyllum and begonia. In case of bryophyllum and begonia, we see some epiphyllous buds on the which are growing on the surface of the leaves. They generally fall down, and when they fall down, there are also other modifications of the leaves like the leaf tendrils, spines and scaly leaves. Tendrils are thin wire coiled structures which are nothing but the modified leaves. Generally they are seen in plants where the stems are weak and they help in climbing. Mostly you'll see them in Pisum sativum, which is the pea plant, and also in plants like Smilax and Gloriosa. Apart from the tendrils, we also see leaf spines, which are pointed structures which will be preventing the transpiration. Thereby they reduce water loss. You can see them in Opuntia, aloe vera and cactus. Apart from that, scaly leaves are also a type of leaf modification. They may be fleshy as in case of onion where they store food, or they may also be dry as in case of ginger where they'll be protecting the axillary buds. Coming to the functions of the leaves, first function is the transpiration, which is the loss of water vapor through the surface of the leaf. Generally, this happens through the stomata, which are the minute openings. This reduces the temperature of the plant body and keeps it cool. Generally, this water vapor exchange happens through stomata, which are the minute openings in the epidermis of the leaf. The most important function of a leaf is photosynthesis, where a leaf produces its own food. Generally, this happens by trapping the sunlight. This happens because of the special cells called as chloroplasts inside the plants. Let's see how this photosynthesis happens. Plants generally take carbon dioxide from the air, water from the roots and sunlight from the atmosphere. Upon these, they prepare their food as glucose and release oxygen into the atmosphere along with minute water vapor. Right? So, the food prepared by the plants is glucose. This glucose generally becomes a starch. So, once again we are seeing water is absorbed by roots, CO2 is taken from atmosphere and sunlight is taken from atmosphere and food is prepared. So, in the leaves you see the chloroplasts, which are the cell organelles, and they have a chlorophyll pigment. So, because of which they can trap the sunlight and prepare food. That's why chloroplasts are called as food factories. Chlorophyll is a pigment or a green colored substance which is responsible for trapping the sunlight and the plant's ability to prepare food. Now coming to the stomata, which are generally present on the lower surface of the leaf, we'll see how the gaseous exchanges happen. Right? So this is the third important function of the leaf. In the gaseous exchange, generally plants perform two major functions, which are the photosynthesis as well as respiration. During photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide, prepare food and release oxygen along with water vapor. But during respiration, they take in oxygen and